everybody, it's the Gnome and welcome to a brand new DCAU update, and I am so excited to talk about this specific film today. It is the 32nd film in the DCU Animated Film Library, and of course, being the 80th anniversary of Superman, we couldn't be more ready for this brand new addition to the library. So, back in 2007, when these guys, Bruce Timm, Alan Burnett, Paul Dini, they all got together and they created the very first film in this now extremely large library of DC animated films called Superman Doomsday. Of course, it was a condensed, easy-to-follow adaptation to one of the greatest stories that rocked the world of comic books in the 1990s, and of course, that was the death of Superman. And Superman Doomsday is a very well-done film. As a matter of fact, I just reviewed it last month, and there will be a link to that video at the end of this one. But after over 10 years of making all of these films, and seeing the potential as to where they can go with the tools that they had, and also with all of the changes that have happened in terms of the staff, in terms of production, in terms of who is running the whole project now, they believed that it was time to actually give the fans the true adaptation of the death of Superman, and like Batman The Dark Knight Returns, it was time to give us another great story split into two parts, and the first film is the death of Superman. This time they want to be as closely adapted to the book as possible and give us the whole story as it was meant to be. And I have to say that I was very excited. I have to admit I was a little bit confused with the fact that they were doing this story again, and I was even more intrigued that they were going to insert this story into the current DC New 52 storyline that they already have put together. They also got pretty much the entire cast that has been voicing the Justice League members up until this point, including Jerry O'Connell as Superman, and they even got his wife to play Lois Lane, because of course, as you know, Lois Lane does in fact play a major role in this specific story. And they even gave us Lex Luthor once again, even though he has no role in the death of Superman in the comics, and voiced by the dynamic Rainn Wilson. They gave us something that was definitely well placed in the story, and definitely an interesting look at Lex Luthor's character. But I will say, as a whole, this movie blew my expectations out of the water, especially with the fact that in recent years the films have been okay. There have been some truly great films in the bunch, but most of them have been good or just okay. But holy cow, The Death of Superman is without a doubt one of the best films that we have gotten in the library in years. Not only is the battle between Superman and Doomsday the epic battle we expected to see, this film is filled with so many layers for these characters, and it is filled with so many emotions, and I am not going to deny that when the death of Superman takes place in this film, I cried, because it was just that powerful. And I loved that they gave us so many special treats at the very end of this film while the credits were rolling to remind us that this story is far from over, because next year we have the second part called Reign of the Supermen. But all in all, this movie is just incredible. The story is beautiful. The character development, especially of Lois Lane and Superman, is just absolutely top-notch, especially considering the fact that this is not an extremely long movie. It is definitely one of the longer films that they have made in recent years, and I also loved how they captured that with the time that they had. There's also so many great things in the Superman mythos in this film, including Bibbo, and there's also some really great lines from Jimmy and Perry, but I also was very impressed about how they roped the Justice League into this film, and it was really great to see all of these great heroes, especially the ones that Superman has made friends with in this New 52 storyline in the animated universe. It was really interesting to see how they actually fit into the story, and also seeing all the famous voices like Matt Latner as Aquaman, Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, and it was just so interesting to see them all play their roles. It was also great to see Ma and Pa Kent in the film as well, and I really liked that even though they didn't have that much screen time, we really got all the screen time that we needed in regard to these characters, just to see how they look at Superman as their son and how they welcomed Lois Lane when they introduced themselves to her. It was just really cool to see how every single one of these characters fit in this story. And of course, when Doomsday gets into the picture, I also love the fact that they really tried to keep it as close to the comics as they could, with the green bodysuit just ripping away as he terrorizes the world and goes into Metropolis for the final showdown. It was just so amazing. I was even more surprised to see that the Justice League had expanded by adding the Martian Manhunter and Hawkman. While they didn't really have the greatest lines, or really not many lines at all, it was just really cool to see them, but I was a little bit shocked that they didn't bring Sean Astin back to voice Shazam. There wasn't even an understanding as to why Shazam wasn't even in the film. I was like, did he not want to be a part of the Justice League? Did he have a falling out with them? Was he on a mission? It would have been nice to at least hear what was going on with Shazam, because of the fact that he has been in all of these Justice League films up until this point. And even though this is not a Justice League film, rather this is a Superman film, and yes, they do focus on Superman much more than everybody else, I still felt that it would have been cool to have seen him. But I think the best part of this whole film is Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Romijn acting between them as Clark Kent and Lois Lane. A real husband and wife really shows a dynamic that you just don't see in movies. It's like when you saw Mr. and Mrs. Smith and we found out that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were actually a couple, and you can tell that there was a unique dynamic which made them play off of each other so well, even in a movie that is just fun to watch but nothing special. And these two just really hit it off well, and it was just so great to see their relationship blossom, secrets being hidden and other things being revealed to one another, and it just felt so real. And I feel that because of the fact that the emotions were so real, that this movie turned out to be the great movie that it was. Let me just say that this is a great addition to the library, and I am so excited to see this story continue, because I am someone who read these comics when I was a kid. I thought the story was so engaging and powerful, and they really gave us a lot of accurate things that we did see in the comic books. And I just cannot wait to see Reign of the Supermen, because I love who they got to play some of these new characters that we're going to see, and I think it's going to be a very exciting conclusion. And once again, like Batman The Dark Knight Returns, I'm really excited to see where this team is going to go from here in terms of bigger and better projects. If this is going to be as successful as I think it's going to be, I really want to see them make more two-film, maybe even trilogy film projects, because these stories need to be told the right way. And as much as Superman Doomsday is still a very enjoyable film, this version, this true adapted version with a couple of additional twists, really blows Superman Doomsday out of the water. The Death of Superman is now one of my top 10 in this library. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss The Death of Superman. If you haven't seen it, you have to, because it is just incredible. And I will see you all in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.